On December 23rd, there's a new moon in Capricorn, and it's making a square to Jupiter, so get ready to go overboard. Jupiter rules luck, opportunities, but it also rules excess. And so think of irrational exuberance to the extreme. What does this mean for you? That's what we're going to talk about. Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, here to talk to you today about the new moon. It's on December 23rd. It's at 1 degree Capricorn. We're going to do a short overview and then we're going to go sign by sign. I want to thank all of you for your support, supporting me, supporting LaRue, and supporting astrology. We're getting close to 40,000 subscribers, which is amazing. And so I want to thank you so much. I really appreciate you watching my videos. And speaking of videos, there is a video on financial astrology for 2023. It's on my website. There's a link in the description. And so if you are interested in that particular topic, click on the link. You don't have to sign up for anything to see the video. But while you're there, if you'd like to sign up for the newsletter, I would really appreciate it. So on December 23rd, we have a new moon. It's at 1 degree of Capricorn, and it's making a square to Jupiter at 0 degrees of Aries. You'll remember that Jupiter was in Aries briefly last year, and now it's back, and it's going to be in Aries between now and May 16th. Now, Jupiter in Aries and this square brings some excellent energy with one small caveat. Or maybe I should say one giant caveat. And that is that Jupiter, being the largest planet of the solar system, means that it rules everything that is big, excess, going overboard. And so if you already have a tendency to go overboard, this could be that shove that pushes you over the cliff. So if you are a person who already, does moderation, if you do self-discipline, if you have focus, oh my gosh, this can be such great energy because it combines all of those natural qualities that you have, or qualities that you have developed over time. And, like me, I had to work at it. So, but it helps you then take your discipline and focus and all that and apply it to something, plus brings in luck and opportunity. So it can be an amazing time. If you have an area of your life that you do go overboard, that's where you'll have to be watchful, especially over this 2-week period. So, and when we go sign by sign, we'll talk about what area that is for you. Now, here's the interesting thing too, that because Jupiter is about luck, it also means that even when you go overboard, it can still work out. And so if you, spend too much and you come up short at the end of the month, then you reach in your pocket and, oh, there's that $20, and that $20 was the thing that is going to help you get through. So Jupiter is that kind of pulls you out at the last minute sort of luck. And so again, if you're going overboard, if that's your tendency, Jupiter is still here to help protect you. But it's not something that you want to put all your reliance on. It would be great to use this energy by focusing your intention on building a business or, learning new skills, maybe meeting new people. Use Jupiter for that, because then when the luck happens, it gets magnified and is far more than you were expecting. Now, the universe has a way of trying to teach us lessons all the time anyway. So I call it a conservation of energy. The universe gives you a gift, but with that gift comes lessons. And so that means as you are activating the luck, it is going to have you pull out of your comfort zone to activate that. That means that you might get invited to speak somewhere or be on someone's podcast. You might get invited to take a job that you feel is going to be a challenge. You might, get into a new relationship, but it's going to still take some work. And so all of this is where the universe is saying, we're still going to help you grow while we're bringing you these opportunities. Now, in the world, this excessive energy can go, really excessive, because if something is expanding, when we think of the things in the world that could be expanding, the first thing that comes to mind is inflation. And so I think that the inflation numbers are going to go pretty wild in December. I think that this is going to cause all of us to say, oh my gosh, and have us pull back. And then we're going to pull back to the extreme. And so it's interesting because this is coming up very close to the holidays. And so that might mean that you're feeling like you want to go out and do some spending, or maybe you get some gift cards for the holidays. And so, you're out there looking at the prices that are going up and up. But what happens here is then when we get to January, the pendulum could swing very far in the other direction where nobody's spending. And so be aware that, if you're liking consistency, and most of us do, that it's not going to be consistent during this time. And for those of you who listen to my Chinese astrology videos, or watch them, notice that this is the tiger year, and of course I have talked about the tiger who takes these occasional cat naps, but when it wakes up, it is in full force, and that's what I think is going on right now. On the previous full moon that we had just 2 weeks ago, and that was December 7th, so I'm not sure when you're watching this, but that full moon, that was a conjunction to Mars, which is extremely aggressive. And now we get this square to Jupiter. And so now we get expansion. So aggression, expansion, that means a lot of movement and a lot of things in the news cycle, a lot of things when it comes to dealing with business. And the people can be easily frustrated, easily express their frustration. And so you do want to be aware that the tiger is very active at this time. Now, the pluses, though, with this aspect on an individual basis are undeniable. This aspect can give you more confidence. It can give you, as I said before, the opportunity. So you feel like you can step through the door and the door opens and there you are. So if you were really looking at this energy and say, what am I going to do with it? Again, as we go sign by sign, we'll be looking at where this energy is hitting for you, and then you can focus on that area. But if you have something that you've been wanting to do, but it's outside your comfort zone, or you really need to put a lot of energy towards it, this is the time to do it. Think of an end of the year push to make this happen. Now, Mercury is going retrograde in Capricorn on December 29th. It will be retrograde until January 18. And so the usual things apply. If you are thinking about starting a job, try to start the job outside the retrograde period. And so start the job before December 29th or after January 18. If you're thinking about buying a car or anything that is difficult to return, try not to do it during that Mercury retrograde period. On the other hand, it's interesting because I think that the Amazon window for returns falls during this retrograde period. So be careful during this time to make sure that when they are scanning all your stuff, that they do count all the items, that you don't forget anything at home and have to make another trip, and recognize that the lines for returning at different Amazon places are going to be really long because there's going to be a lot of second thoughts as we get into that retrograde period. So in this video, we are doing tropical Western astrology. I encourage you to listen to your rising sign as well as your sun sign. The rising sign is going to tell you more of what's going to be happening to you, whereas the sun sign will give you more things that you should be working on. In the description, I put a lot of links to different programs that I offer, and specifically to my new tarot video course. If you've ever wanted to learn to read the tarot, I really encourage you to check this out. The link is in the description. All right, let's go sign by sign. Okay, Aries, you guys are doing this new moon right at the top of your chart. It's making a square to Jupiter in your own sign of Aries. Now, this Jupiter in Aries starts a new 12-year cycle for you. And so right now, you're right at the new beginning, but you are going to experience this very strongly between now and May 16. And that is that you are going to have more opportunities, more doors opening for you. And so what you want to do is consider stepping through those doors confidently, saying to yourself, I will figure it out along the way, which is actually perfect for Aries because you are kind of a leap and then the net will appear sort of energy anyway. Now, the new moon up at the top of your chart does say new job opportunities, new opportunities for recognition, maybe for new social standing. If you're in a relationship, then you might be getting into a new relationship, or it may be that you're taking the relationship to a new level. And so, marking that you're exclusive or even getting engaged. So there is some new thing happen. Some of this energy is so new. We're just seeing the crumbs of it right now. So, I know that Aries can be impatient. And we are talking about energy for you that's going to last until next May. So try and pace it a little bit if that's at all possible. But overall, this is really good energy for you, especially for starting new things and, basically going forward, focusing that energy on career and social opportunities where you meet more people or your name is out there. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the sun is not making an aspect with Mars. However, there is so much elevated energy here. I feel like people are coming to you. It's just that your focus could be elsewhere. So you may want to engage a friend to say, hey, that person was checking you out and you might want to talk to that person, or that person just asked you out and you didn't notice. So your mind seems to be elsewhere, or, as usual with Aries, you're moving so quickly, sometimes it's hard for others to catch up. So just recognize that you are very noticeable at this time. So that might mean that you're getting a lot of hits to your online dating profile, but you need to slow down long enough to reach out to some of these people or answer some of the winks and emails that you're getting. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is making an inconjunct with Mars. This means that there's some adjustment needed on one side or both. And what can be happening is if you are going in a new direction, you may be leaving your partner a little bit in the dust, who might actually be trying to grab your coattails and pull you back. And so that's where the adjustment is, where you have to slow down long enough to have a discussion to say, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And then they express their encouragement or concerns, and you work together as a team. With an inconjunct, it just means that there has to be some sort of compromise on either side. So, look for where you can give a little, where they can give a little. So, but I think that you can strengthen this relationship. The interesting thing when we see couples in general, when two couples natally do an inconjunct, it means it's very tough to get into the relationship and it's very tough to get out of it. And so this is that kind of thing where it's hard to sit down and say, let's discuss it. But once you do, you can really get a rock solid agreement between the two of you that can support you in this endeavor going forward. When we look at your area of friendships, Mars is making a semi-sextile to Uranus, which does mean there are some opportunities to meet someone who's outside your circle. This person may be quite eccentric or just do something very different than you do. But there is an opportunity for new connections and new friendships at this time. So this might mean, like going to a different type of meeting that you do, or, when you're at a party, that you just try to mingle and meet new people. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Venus, which is elevated in your chart. It's in your house of career, and it's making a lovely trine to Uranus in your house of money. And so there is an opportunity to make money either from a new source, or that money from an existing source now gets a bump up. Also, Uranus can be chunks of money, so that would be like a bonus or some sort of one-time payment. Now, all of this is possible. It does look like it's easy to come to you, so you want to be watching for it to make sure that your hands are open to receive. So this also does say that new ideas are coming to you. So if you don't have time to work on those, you want to capture that information somehow, maybe through like a note capture app like Google Keep or Notion or something like that, just so that you have it for the future. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, you look like maybe you're making about the same as usual or even a little bit less because you're stuck in some sort of old pattern. And that is maybe you're launching new things, but people are then saying, I want the old stuff. Maybe you are stuck in some investments that have had some volatility, and so you're waiting for them to come back to even. And so it looks like most of the old stuff is giving away to new stuff. I think there'll be lots of new opportunities because you're doing this Jupiter and Aries energy in such a good place. But right now, I think that it could be a little weak in this area for the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money derived from your career, so that would be like a paycheck, it's an entirely different story. Venus is making that trine to Uranus. Uranus is in a house of money. Venus is in your house of career. So everything is lined up for you to get another job if you wanted, to get a promotion into your existing job, to get more money through a job, or to get some sort of increase that's either promised to you or it is a one-time payment. So the money from your career really shows an increase over the next 2 weeks. Okay, Taurus, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of travel, education, legal matters, belief systems, and it's making the square to Jupiter in your house of spiritual protection, intuition, but also escapes. And so the excess can be on the escape side, where you just watch Netflix all day, or that you go into some sort of other type of escape where, well, you know what I mean. So this is not the best way to use this energy, because this energy says that you could go on a spontaneous trip, you could get some opportunities through education. You can get some, like through legal matters, that could be getting a license, getting a permit, getting something that felt blocked before, and now things just come together. This is also about extra protection in your life. So if you are taking risks in this area, maybe to teach a class, maybe to publish something, or maybe you're having discussions with educational people about, the trajectory of your education life. Like, you have a lot of protection now, and that can mean that you meet the right person at the right time, that they say, oh, there's one slot left and you can have that opportunity. So this is where you have a more active guardian angel. So when you are doing things, if you start to receive signs like, things just seem blocked, tap into this idea that, okay, somebody's watching over me, and so it's okay that I didn't get this opportunity, because that's then the guardian angel protecting you. So the two sides, the guardian angel can open doors, but the guardian angel can also shut a door that has something bad on the other side. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a conjunction to Mercury, and they're both very high up in your chart, so you're very noticeable. And with these two coming together, you could meet someone who you really click with. So this is a time where you do want to be social, go to parties, check your online dating sites and see who has reached out to you, reach out to some people there, set up some dates. This is a really positive 2-week period where you could meet someone who is very compatible with you. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, there's no aspect going on between Venus and Pluto. And so with all that activity in your house of travel, you may be in different locations, or you are so busy doing the travel, welcoming guests or arriving at some place, that you're not really working on your relationship. But there can be that you fall into some old patterns during this time, and sometimes during the holidays that happens. That's okay, as long as that's a pleasant pattern. This energy will line up better in the future, but right now I see that your focus is elsewhere, or that the two of you aren't actually in the same zip code. Now, when it comes to friendships, Venus is making a sextile to Neptune, and that means that you have an opportunity to meet new friends. And so you do want to accept those invitations, maybe to charity functions, somebody's ugly Christmas sweater party, like maybe something for New Year's. So looking at the different opportunities that you have, find ways that you can mingle with people and connect with people because you have an opportunity to meet new friends. This energy is a sextile. That means if you stay home, it doesn't happen, but if you're out, it does. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Mercury, which is in that house of ideas and like getting things official and looking at things that are overseas, bringing in maybe different supplies or making connections to do exporting. It's making an exact semi-sextile to Saturn, which is in your house of career. So the interesting energy here is that you may have a lot of money-making ideas, but you're so busy with your job that you can't go out and make money. So, and that's where some adjustments, some prioritizing will be necessary. I think that while you're working on your job, you might feel quite irritated that you can't work on your business or some other money-making opportunity, or that you are making a lot of money, but it's just that's all you're doing because you have to take care of this detail and the next and the next and the next. So that's what I'm seeing going on. It's lots of opportunities, but there are some small things in the way, kind of like your job, which I know is not a small thing, but it might be that you're doing a little overtime, and that's what's stopping you from making more money at the moment. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, you're making about the same as usual. The Mercury is not making an aspect with Jupiter. Jupiter is now in Aries, so it's possible that there's something new that you're offering, but you haven't done the marketing yet. With so much in your ninth house, you have Moon, Sun, Venus, Mercury, and Pluto, you might be launching some new marketing in this 2-week period, but people haven't yet. They haven't seen it, so they're not buying yet. It's also possible that you are waiting to have some of the volatility in the market slow down a little bit. Maybe you're making some investment purchases, but you're not ready in any way to take profits. So I think you're making about the same as usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, Mercury is making a sextile to Neptune, and so you do have an opportunity to make more money. It's interesting because it may be something that you need to bring up, that you need to say, hey, I would like to take on something more, or can I move into this position, something like that. It's quite possible, though, because of that semi-sextile with Saturn, you're just working a lot more hours, and that's giving you money. There is some sort of education opportunity that's possible, and so that could be considered a perk. Maybe it's a sum of money that you get to use for your education, or that they are offering you some free education. So you might want to look for that. But I do see you have potential to make more money over the next 2 weeks from your regular job. Okay, Gemini, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of resources. That's investments, credit, debt. There's a lot of new energy there. It's making a square to Jupiter in your house of money derived from career, as well as friendships, organizations, technology in the future. So these are the types of components that we pull together now to give you more resources. And of course, resources isn't always money. Sometimes it's a mentor. Sometimes it's somebody who, just says, here's the information that you were looking for. So with this energy, what you have is some possibilities of opening up for a new job, something that will give you more perks versus maybe not so much in the money department, but they give you more flexible hours, you get to work at home, you get free healthcare or something like that. Free healthcare would be good. So, and you also, though, do have access to maybe better technology or things that are planting seeds for your future. So stuff that will happen way outside of this 2-week period. Where you could go overboard is getting involved in some group that now wants all of your time or wants a lot of your money. Or perhaps it is about spending too much on technology. Maybe there's some good prices and you want to, start a podcast or a YouTube channel and you're loading up on equipment and that may not be necessary. It's possible you are looking into some investments because the house of investments is so strong, but you're going overboard and putting too much of your nest egg in that direction. So remember, diversification during volatile markets, that's the way to go. So this is where you could go overboard. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a conjunction with Mercury, and it's in your house of intimacy, one of those fun houses. So there is a real opportunity to meet someone with whom you have a lot of physical connection, physical attraction, and I do see there is opportunities to make it a long-term relationship, but you may be so attracted to each other that it's kind of to exclusion of all other things for a little bit anyway. So if you're looking for love, this is a real opportunity to go out on a blind date, talk to a matchmaker, go on online dating, or go to a party and just meet somebody, because you could really find someone who's a find. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury's not making an aspect with Jupiter. And so it feels like you guys are very busy. You're not really working on the relationship. You're working on other things. And you seem to be quite fixated and focused on whatever it is you're working on. So maybe it is that your partner has some big push they make at the end of the year. And so they're doing that. Maybe you're just both on vacation now, and so you're just doing your own thing, or perhaps you're traveling for the holidays, and so you're focused on getting from point A to point B. So there's nothing wrong here so much as you're not really working on the relationship because you're not really paying attention to each other. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from the moon that is in a money house, making a square to Jupiter, which is in a money house. So this is a time where you really have brand new opportunities to make money. Probably not so much during the 2 weeks, but maybe for the whole year. So this is a time where you do want to look at the things you're drawn to, really ask yourself the questions, how can I make more money? You know, that Bob Proctor question of how can I make my annual income, my monthly income? That's a great question to ask yourself. If you have been asking yourself questions and not getting answers, ask new questions, reformulate the question. So because this energy says that the universe is here with lots of information to give you, but you need to know that you're hunting for something. You need to, be looking for something to find it. So I do love this energy for you. This is a good opportunity. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, the moon's making a semi-square to Saturn, and that is a hard work aspect. Plus, you have 5 planets in that house of money. That's the 8th house, for those of you who are keeping track. That is that you have enormous opportunities at this time. Maybe it is some sort of collaboration that's going on. Maybe, your products suddenly become very popular. Maybe you do something that's seasonal, or that's something that is triggered by something somebody else is doing, but you have some big opportunities during this time. So you really do want to lean in. If you are thinking about launching something, this is a time to do it because, the energy is there. A semi-square is hard work, though. It is nose to the grindstone. It is not something that just happens. So this is where the luck comes in later. Because you did the work, then the luck kicks in and brings you the opportunities. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, which is like a paycheck, even though you've got some energy in your money houses, there's no connection going on right now between the moon and Mars. So things look delayed. That is, you may ask for a raise, or you may have been promised a raise, or even a bonus, and there's just some delays on it. And so you need to be a little bit patient about that. It's very difficult for you to push when there is no connection. So, you can drop some hints and all that, but I think you're just going to get, waitlisted on that idea for a little bit. So focus on your own business, focus on your investments. This is not the time to be asking your boss for a raise, because I don't think your boss has the power to give it to you. Okay, Cancer, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of relationships, partnerships, collaboration, mentors, friendships, and it's making a square to Jupiter that's right at the top of your chart, just opening so many doors for you. So this is a time where you could meet the person who gives you a new job, who wants to be in a relationship with you, wants to have a friendship with you. So this is a time where you want to put yourself out in the world so that you are seen. And when you do, then opportunities come. And so this is, it's so strong right now. And so if you, though, are more of a homebody and you don't get out much, at least maybe get out through social media, or at least say spiritually, like through prayer or meditation. I want to meet new people, so that you run into somebody at the grocery store or at the post office or something. So you may want to reconnect too with people from your past. That's a strong possibility, but I see good opportunities for getting a new job, for collaborating with people, for friendships, and more. Now, where you could go overboard is accepting too much responsibility, or taking responsibility for somebody else or someone else's situation when it's not really yours. And so that's where you have to weigh the different options for yourself. In a job situation, of course, it's fairly easy to see if you're taking on too much. But in a relationship, now it gets a little bit more nuanced, where, are you taking on the responsibilities of the relationship and they're not sharing those? So you want to look at that. And that could be a love relationship as well as a friendship. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the moon's making a semi-sextile to Pluto and it's out of sign. And so that means that you could meet someone, but it feels like you don't really think that they're a match, but maybe they are. Maybe the circumstances are a little odd, and so maybe you feel a little uncomfortable for that. Maybe you're so busy that you didn't even notice that they asked you out and you just breezed right by. So there's something going on here. Because there's an aspect, it can happen, but this is not the person who exactly fits your wish list. And it's not necessarily that that's a bad thing. It's not like they are representing something that you have a no to. It's just that maybe you hadn't considered this, and then they are here. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, get ready to work, because it is a semi-square between Moon and Saturn. Plus, you have a full house in the 7th house of 5 planets. So there is some serious work you're doing on the relationship. Now, this is going to feel like this is a time where you're going to understand each other, where you can come together and really help each other, strengthen this relationship. Maybe your partner's going through something, maybe you're going through something, but you're coming together and really strengthening the relationship. But I will tell you, it's going to take some work, so you're going to have to devote some time to this. Now, the results can be great, and so it is worth it. If, though, this relationship is very brittle, if you have found the connection as already falling apart, this is not great energy for you, because this can really cause it to break. So if you're trying to keep this together, you might want to go for counseling. With such a strong 7th house, even getting advice from, friends, mentors, etc. If you are looking for this, if you're looking for that type of change to break up a relationship, this is a time where you might be discussing that possibility. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from the sun in the 7th house of meeting other people and new opportunities, making a square to Jupiter in your house of career and reputation and social standing. So you have an extraordinary opportunity to meet someone who opens a big door for you. That can be somebody who's like a hiring manager, or somebody who wants to collaborate with you, somebody who is an influencer who uses your products. Like, you have an opportunity to have a connection with somebody who really makes a difference in your life. So this is a time where you want to make sure that you have your LinkedIn profile all done, where you're interacting with people, maybe people you've worked with in the past, maybe people you want to work with, sending out resumes, working on your business, marketing your business. These are all the things that can really take this positive energy and explode it in such a great way. Now, when it comes to money derived from traditional investments or your business, the sun is making a sesquiquadrate to Uranus. Now, that sesquiquadrate, that's a challenging aspect. It says that if you get everything right, you get this huge benefit. But most of the time, this is saying to us that you're making about the same as usual, but you're rolling the dice and something positive can happen. Now, even if it doesn't happen within the 2 weeks, I think rolling the dice anyway to take a chance to, try out some new business opportunity, to look at expanding your business in a certain way, like maybe that's territory, maybe that's adding a product or a service, maybe that's adjusting your prices. So all of this says that you're rolling the dice, you're trying things out with that sesquiquadrate. You want to, look at the results you get in the 2 week period and say, all right, maybe you can make some adjustments, but recognize that if you don't do anything with this energy, if you don't plant the seed, then nothing really can grow. So you want to plant some seeds if possible. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, there's no aspect going on between the sun and Venus, but they are in the same sign. So I do feel like something is possible, but it's just not within this 2 week period. So I think you're making about the same as usual. You may be working some different hours, or perhaps you're not working during this period because some of this is, post-Christmas, pre-New Year. And so maybe you're off from work, but making about the same as usual, but there's no opportunity to ask your boss for a raise. There's no opportunity to get that additional money. So I think that, of course, this energy will line up in the future, but what I see now is it's getting closer. So outside this 2 week period, there is going to be an opportunity, but right now you're making about the same as usual. Okay, Leo, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of work, health, and daily routines. It's making a square to Jupiter in that house of knowledge, as also travel and opportunities around education. And so one of the things that could happen is you get some information that changes some of your daily habits that make a huge change in your life. Or if you're looking for some health information, that can come through. This is also in your house of more organized spirituality. And so the Jupiter that's the 9th house. And so that is that, through prayer or meditation, you are pulling in the healing energy that you need, or you're getting the messages for your daily routine, that the things that you need to do to, make positive change, which might be, giving up sugar or exercising on a regular basis. This is also your house of work and, working with coworkers. And so there's a possibility that you're working with coworkers who are remote, who are very far or even overseas. It's possible that you have new coworkers that you're interacting with. Maybe you're coming together for a party. You don't normally see these people, and now you do. So there's an awful lot of busyness happening. It looks like you are extremely busy during this time. And so maybe going to different events or, just interacting with lots of people. Now, where you could go overboard is in doing too much spending for an impromptu trip, or spending a little too much for education. Maybe you are, paying for some, video courses or live coaching or something like that, when some of that information, or maybe much of that information, is available for free somewhere else. So just watch out for going overboard in this area. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the sun is making a square to Jupiter, and so there is a major opportunity here. Now, it's interesting because your house of relationships, the 7th house, only has Saturn in it, but what we do have is a very strong house of daily routines, and so that can mean that in the course of daily routines, like going to the grocery store, going to the gym, that's where you meet someone. So not so much meeting them through online dating or a matchmaker, but just where you go every single day, like to Starbucks. And so when you're at these places, look up from your phone, be a little less focused on your list of, your shopping list, and so that you can see the people around you to see if somebody wants to catch your eye, have a conversation. That's where the opportunity is. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the Sun is making a sesquiquadrate to Uranus, and Saturn is in that house. Since you have all of this stuff in daily routines, this is where the two of you may have some contentions because you do things differently. And, we all do things differently than other people. And so, but something about maybe what your partner is doing is causing you some irritation, and it's time to sit down and work out a better system, because all of this, what did I say, 5 planets in your 6th house says work out a system. And so if there's something going on between you and your partner, you have an extraordinary opportunity to work it out this time by saying, all right, let's do things this way. And maybe that's for the holidays. Maybe you'll only do this once a year, or maybe it's some part of the routine because now you're off from work and you get to discuss it, that you can work out a new system. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Mercury, which is making an exact semi-sextile to Saturn in your house of relationships, partnerships, collaborations, and connections. And so it's saying that you are very focused right now, maybe on the back office of your business, or maybe doing accounting. Maybe you're trying to get a jump on your taxes, which is like, wow, that's really early. So, but what you need to be thinking about is how you can make connections with useful, interesting, or talented people. But the semi-sextile says that you're hesitating about it. So look at how you can find an easier way to make those connections, whether those are through direct messages or reaching out to someone who knows someone so that they can make the introduction for you. So something where if you push this a little bit, you could have an extraordinary money opportunity that comes, but otherwise it's like you feel like you should go out and make connections, but it's just easier right now to do accounting, and so that's what you're doing. Now, when it comes to money from your business or traditional investments, I see you making a little bit more than usual. Mercury's making a sextile to Neptune, so with a little effort, you would make more. And right now you have 5 planets in the house of effort. So I see you like tweaking some systems and making them better, making things incrementally better. And so that over the course of the year, of course, this would really pay off. But over the 2-week period, I see you making a little bit more than usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, and this would be like a paycheck, Mercury's making that semi-sextile to that Saturn in the 7th, as well as the sextile to Neptune in the 8th. So it's more likely that you could get a perk or a one-time payment from your business rather than a raise. And one of the reasons is your boss may just be hard to nail down. Because it's a semi-sextile to that Saturn, it's possible that they're traveling, they're just busy. They say, let's put this off till mid-January or something like that. With the sextile to Neptune, it's possible that you could get with HR and find you could get some discounts. Maybe there is a one-time payment coming to you. There can be some perks coming from that. So that's where we see the energy. Okay, Virgo, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of creativity, fun, risk-taking, also children, and it's making a square to Jupiter in your house of resources from others as well as intimacy. And so I know that seems like a wide variety there, but it all works out in the end. So all of this brings you opportunities to get the resources that you need to launch a creative project, to help your kids, to do things that you really enjoy. It also means that you can find some of the funding that you need for a creative business, or that you can help your kids, get a job, or at least line up some funding opportunities. When it comes to intimacy, it can mean that you are feeling closer with your sweetheart or to meet somebody new. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, where you could go overboard, of course, is spending money on your children because of that square. When they ask for something, you might really just open up your wallet and then it all goes. Also, be careful in craft stores or anything that's connected to your creativity because you could really overspend in this area. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, you really have an opportunity here because there's 5 planets in that house. That's a lot. And the Mercury is making his semi-sextile with Saturn. So what that means is that you can meet someone, they're not quite what you were expecting. So there's something that might feel like you have to make some sort of adjustment. And that could mean maybe they don't live that close. Maybe they're a good half an hour away. And so there's going to be a drive. Maybe you were expecting somebody who, I don't know, does a different profession, or maybe they're on opposite sides of the aisle from you politically. Maybe they like a different sports team, so there's something different, but there's enough here to make something click as well. So it's not this type of deal breaker energy that, is for some people. It's more that you would say to yourself, oh, I didn't know that would happen that way. And then it does. And so this is really good energy for meeting someone new. And especially because there's 5 planets in that house, that other people could introduce you. This could be a time to go to parties, to do things that you find are fun, and to even do things where it's more that your children are doing things with other kids so that you can meet the parents and, that way you mingle with new people. And that way you can find love. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, I think the 2 of you are having a lot of fun this time because Mercury's making a sextile with Neptune, and you've got 5 planets in your house of fun. So there's Jupiter in your house of intimacy. So I really think the 2 of you are coming together and you're having some quality private time. So I think that's very good for the relationship. I think that you're also doing enjoyable activities, and these could be activities with the kids, and you're all having a really good time. And so that's strengthening the love relationship and making you feel great about being with each other. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Venus, which is making a very nice trine to Uranus, which is in your house of knowledge, ideas, and help from the universe. And so the Venus is sitting in that area of fun and creativity. And so this is a lot about doing something for money that might be a creative skill that you have. Maybe this is about your music or your writing or your crafts. This is also that you're pulling in that energy of the information that you need, the teaching, the instruction that you need. It's also possible that this energy is going the other direction. So you're teaching a class, or you're tutoring, or you're helping others. And because of that, then you're making more money. So you have those possibilities. I also see good energy around getting permits, getting contracts signed, getting overseas sources right now. So all of that is very good for business. If you're thinking about launching something, the Uranus is in your house of publishing. And so maybe launch it a little bit differently. Maybe it's not a traditional launch, but something that's very creative and different. And that drums up a lot of positive publicity and energy for what you're doing. Now, when it comes to money from your business or traditional investments, Venus is making an inconjunct to Mars, which says make some adjustments, get out of your comfort zone, do the harder things, and then opportunities come. Now, Mars is elevated in your chart. It's up in your 10th house, and this indicates doing something that you are seen doing. So you take your creative stuff and you put it out in the world, or you put yourself out into the world, and that's where you make more money. So looking at how you can be seen by the public. And so maybe getting on social media, maybe going off and doing an interview, or launching your YouTube channel, something like that can help you make more money. When it comes to your investments, you may be doing something public as well, and that could be meeting with your broker, going to classes, going to something like a conference on some sort of real estate investing or something. That's the types of things that can really push you to make more money in the future. Now, when it comes to money you derive from career, so this would be like a paycheck, the moon's not making an aspect with Venus. And so this is not a time really to ask for more money. I think you're just going to get bumped to another time. The most, I think you could get something that you would enjoy, like an enjoyable little perk. That you get some samples of something, that you get, that they throw a party, and so, or you get a fruitcake or something like that. So it seems like it's small. It's not basically that thing that you were looking for. Now, there are some big job opportunities coming for you after the first of the year, which is a bit in this energy here. And so during the negotiation process, you may be looking at how you can negotiate for a higher salary. Mercury is going to go retrograde on December 29, and so you might want to look at that as a time where, like if you can get in before the 29th or after January 18, that would be ideal. Okay, Libra, you guys are doing this new moon in your 4th house of home and family and foundations, and it's making a square to Jupiter in your house of relationships, partnerships, collaborations, and connections. And so it's possible that you just have a lot of friends and family over during this holiday time, or that you're working on the house in some way. And that is that maybe you are thinking about moving, or that you're doing some sort of renovations yourself during this time. And there could be a time where children are coming home, and maybe they're even bringing friends with them. And so there's a lot of that type of connection. Maybe you're doing an open house. So that is having the neighbors over. So you have 5 planets in that area of home and family. So that's really a very strong connection at this time. So you could even connect with relatives you haven't spoken to in a very long time. Now, where you could go overboard is in these areas also, and that would be that there's just too much of the family stuff that is just overwhelming. You feel like that people are just coming and going, and that the holidays are just zipping by. It's possible you're just giving too much to your kids and not taking the time for you to have a nice holiday also, or that you're spending a lot on the home itself. You're taking advantage of sales, or that prices are going up, and so that's causing you to spend more money. And with this, of course, there's a little warning that you may make way too much food. And so, make sure that you have a way to freeze it or to preserve it or people to give it to. So, because you could go overboard in that area. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a trine to Uranus. So it's quite possible that you are meeting somebody during this time, maybe at a party or get together. Maybe you've been chatting back and forth, but you get to actually meet each other. And this is especially true if this has been a long distance relationship and maybe you're meeting in person for the first time. Or you're just traveling, and so, to see relatives, and therefore meeting somebody on the plane, or family members wanting to introduce you to someone. So there's a lot of possibilities in this area during this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, you're going to have to be nice to each other because you're doing it in conjunct between Venus and Mars, which means that each of you have to adjust because circumstances right now are not typical. You might be tired. You might have different ideas of what you want the holidays to be. And it's quite important to be very aware of what the other person's going through and to really help each other. And so that is that, maybe there's certain family members that tend to drive a wedge between the two of you. You can come together if you're willing to work at the relationship and strengthen your love relationship. But because there's an inconjunct, you're going to have to make some adjustments, either as a couple adjusting to outside circumstances or to each other. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Pluto in that house of family with so many other planets. So this might be an opportunity to sit down with family members and discuss pooling resources to do investments. Or to discuss how, what they would suggest for your business or what you're suggesting for their business, or maybe you're coming together to do a family business. Now, you're also pulling money from that Mars, which is way up in the 9th house of education and that spiritual information that you are looking for. So if there's questions that you have, you can ask the universe now, and the library of the universe can open up. Now this Mars is making a semi-sextile to the North Node and an inconjunct to the South Node, which means that there's a little bit of a disconnect going on between you and the path that you feel is right for you. And so that is, make sure as you're starting a business or as you're looking for money that you're not straying too far from what it is that you truly want to do. So this is about more what you want to do rather than what the market is looking for, or finding, probably more accurately, finding a balance between the two of those. This energy will line up better in the future. Right now, you're doing that semi-sextile. That is, look at the little details that you're doing and put those in alignment with your true goals. Now, when it comes to money from traditional investments or your business, you have the potential to make more money than usual. That is because even though Venus is not making an aspect to Pluto, it's making an inconjunct to Mars. So that is an indication that if you make some adjustments, you could make more profits. Adjustments could be raising your prices, or offering something slightly different, looking at streamlining your operation in some way, or finding a way to maybe buy things in bulk so that you sell. And that is the pooling of resources to buy in bulk so that you can get a better profit margin. So making adjustments can cause opportunities in this area. This is also looking at some of your investments and making some adjustments there. All of these things are outside your comfort zone, just a smidge, not tons, but you might be saying, I don't want to raise prices, and so, but maybe you have to because your costs are going up. And so looking at how you can make some sort of adjustment and maybe offer people something more in some other area, and so that you can also raise your prices. Now, when it comes to money from career, that would be like a paycheck. The sun is making an out of sign semi-sextile to Pluto. So it's an aspect, but it's a little bit remote. Like if things line up, if you just happen to be in the elevator with your boss, you can mention something. Or if your boss, emails you and says, hey, I want to talk to you about the future, then you can plant the seed. But this is a little too remote for just going into your boss's office and demanding something. So it would be better to just be watchful and be ready to ask for something when the opportunity presents itself, and then you could get a win. Okay, Scorpio, you guys are doing this new moon in your area of paperwork, communications, emails, also vehicles, neighbors, siblings, so all the third house stuff. And that's making a square to Jupiter in your house of routines, health, and work. And so all of that adds up to be opportunities when it comes to communicating with the right person or reaching the person that you want to talk to. And so maybe not paying attention to this idea that, like everybody's off for the holidays, but saying, I'm going to reach out to them anyway. This may be your opportunity to consider getting a vehicle, but remember, Mercury goes retrograde on the 29th of December, so you'd want to try to get the transaction done before then. So this is also opportunities to sign contracts, especially for employment, because it makes a square to Jupiter in that 6th house, or to hire somebody and maybe, hire them during this time and then have them start either before Mercury goes retrograde or after Mercury goes retrograde. So this is a great opportunity, though, to really look at the communication you do with yourself and make changes there. And that then helps your routines, helps you incrementally make your life better. So kind of like that book, Atomic Habits, it is about shifting how you think about yourself, how you think about things, or you can do it from the other direction, shift the habit or the daily routine, and then that shapes your thinking. Now, you are lucky when it comes to many of these things, especially contracts, but that is not a reason to not read it. The luck comes in that you can find the person who's willing to negotiate with you, or you can get the terms you're looking for, but you do want to look over the content of the contract and see what you're signing before you're signing it, because that luck doesn't extend that far. And where you could go overboard is in this area of communication, and that is your phone may be blowing up with many, many texts, many emails, a lot of people calling, so lots and lots of communication could be happening during this time. And going overboard is where you're just doing communication to the exclusion of everything else. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Neptune is making a sextile to Pluto, and the co-ruler, your co-ruler, Mars, is in your house of intimacy. So there is an opportunity to meet someone for a love relationship with whom you are very physically compatible. So that said, of course, you do need to make the effort. With a sextile, you have to do something to make it happen. Plus, Mars is retrograde, so my thoughts about this energy, if I could say that sentence in the right order, my thoughts about this energy is it's someone from your past coming into your life, and maybe you weren't in an intimate relationship before, and now the relationship is taking that sort of turn. So therefore, it's a new relationship because you were just friends before or something like that. So I do see some possibilities here, and so I think it's really a good idea to communicate with someone that you're interested in, because stuff could happen. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto, but it is making an inconjunct with Mars, which, with an inconjunct, you kind of say, wow, thanks. So an inconjunct means that some adjustments need to be made either between the two of you, or as a couple, you're making adjustments to others. Now, that's possible that it has to do with neighbors and siblings and, cousins and those sort of connections. And, maybe your partner doesn't like your sister or vice versa. And so maybe the adjustments are around that. And it's possible that there is some short distance travel going on. So like you're going to the next town, and so there's the drive, there's the weather, there's things like that. So some adjustments are happening in the relationship, and it's necessary for you to look at where you can adjust and have, hopefully the other person is looking at that too, because then you can find some harmony between the two of you. Now, when it comes to friendships, you actually have some really good energy here because Mercury is making a conjunction to Pluto, and you have such a strong house of communication. So if you want to expand your circle of friends or reconnect with friends from the past, I really suggest that you do that, because you have so many opportunities to establish new friendships or to rekindle existing friendships just through a simple text or email to that person. It's also possible that you will run into that person when you're out shopping or something like that. So you want to exchange that contact information, because this is a great opportunity for you. Now, when it comes to money, you are pulling money from that Jupiter, which is now in Aries. It's going to be there until mid-May. And so this is a time where now you want to really focus on taking action on all your plans. Now, it's making a square, of course, to this new moon energy in your house of thinking and all the ideas that you have. And so as you actually start to work on it, new ideas are going to come. But this is a time where you want to implement, to actually get things started. So if you've been thinking about maybe, writing a book, this is a time to start working on one of the chapters, because in doing that, then you're going to find out what the information is that you need and start to think about how to structure things and, and who you're going to send it to, etc. So this is where you actually do the practical, and that then gives you the wealth of information you need to make more money. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, you're making about the same as usual, because there's no aspect going on between Jupiter and Mercury. And Jupiter is in such a new spot. I think all of the ideas you haven't really implemented yet. And so this is, what you're used to doing, you're still doing. And so there may be you trying some new ideas, because both Mars is retrograde in that house and Mercury will be going retrograde. And so this is, you might be trying some things you've tried before, but right now you're making about the same as usual because new ideas have not been implemented yet. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so like a paycheck, you have a very strong house of communication, so you might be thinking about planting a seed for this idea. But with that Jupiter still so new at 0 degrees of Aries and not making an aspect with Mercury, it's not quite time yet. So you probably want to wait until at least we get out of the holidays into the new year, but probably outside this 2-week period when this energy will line up in the future, and then you'll have an opportunity. But right now, it's like you plant the seed, but it's on fallow ground. It's not taking hold, it's not rooting, it's not sprouting, and so it's not really necessary for you to do. Now, that might mean that you do get to banter some ideas back and forth with your boss, but that's not talking about the money yet. So focus on, talking about what you're going to do in the future over the course of the next year. And that way you will say, okay, now that we've talked about this, and you do this outside this 2-week period, but now that we've talked about this, let's talk about the money. Okay, Sagittarius, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of money, and it's making a square to Jupiter in your house of creativity, risk-taking, but also children. And so there is 5 planets in your house of money. That's extraordinary. That is some great opportunities for you to make money. Will all that money go straight to your kids? That's a possibility, because that's a place where you could go overboard, where you are more concerned about their prosperity. And so this is one of those cases where, the universe may suggest that you always put the oxygen mask on you before you give the oxygen to everybody else. And so this is where you want to look at how you can make more money. The opportunities are there, and they are from creative endeavors or from taking a risk and saying, yes, I can do this, or yes, I'm interested in this, sending out your resume, connecting with new people. These are the ways that you can do it, but it's also a very strong possibility that your kids are going to come to you and say, hey, we need money for such and such. And it's understandable because, kids today, they have a tough time. It's not as easy for kids to make money as it was for us adults. So it is understandable, but because that Jupiter is so new and it's going to be there till mid-May, there's going to be plenty of time and opportunities to discuss this with them. So right now you want to be looking at money opportunities for yourself. And then the secondary thing is to start to distribute some of your profits rather than distributing your whole nest egg. Now, if you don't have kids, then your kid could be your creative project, and that could be the thing that you're throwing so much money at. And so be aware that you're going to feel very tempted to buy equipment or to get the supplies that you need to make your creative project happen. And maybe there are ways to do it that are more frugal, or that at least do it more incrementally, because with that Jupiter at 0 Aries, the desire to go overboard and just buy the entire craft store is very strong. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Jupiter's not making an aspect to Mars, but Jupiter's in that house. So it's quite possible that someone is pursuing you for a love relationship, but you are very focused on other things. You have those like horse blinders on, and so you're not really seeing that somebody is asking you out, or that people are inviting you to parties where you could meet someone. So if you are really looking for a relationship, it's really good to focus on it and be aware when someone is connecting with you. And if you feel like that is not a match for you, then to sit back and say, why isn't this a match? And how can you adjust how it is you're requesting this from the universe or through online dating and all that, so that you get more matches. So this is where you can be thoughtful about this. But right now, I think someone is pursuing you, but it's questionable whether you're going to notice. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, you do have a connection, but it's a little remote. And that is that, of course, your chart is ruled by Jupiter in Aries, which is ruled by Mars, which is in your house of relationships, which is in Gemini, which is ruled by the Mercury. And that Mercury and Jupiter are the 2 components that we need to get things going. So, gosh, that was a long trip. But what it means is that there is some opportunity for the 2 of you to come together. And in that moment, you could really strengthen your love relationship, where you find you truly agree about something, where you really support each other. That could be just such a harmonious love moment. It's not going to be for the entire 2 weeks. It's just in a moment, the 2 of you come together in such harmony. And if you remember that, if you go forward and you remember that that happened, that can really strengthen the relationship. So because you think, wow, they were really there for me at that time, or you see an opportunity to really be there for your partner. So I think that it's there, the energy is there, but for the most part, you're both very focused on what it is that you're working on and maybe less focused on the relationship. Now, when it comes to your money, you're doing an extraordinary time right now because you have 5 planets in your house of money. So this means that you need to be paying attention to your money because there are so many opportunities there. You're also pulling money, of course, from that Saturn, which is in your house of communication. So that means that people are giving you ideas, that you're stumbling upon videos, that you're finding the books to read. This is a time where you really want to look at how you take care of your money on a daily basis, what your attitudes are about money, how you think about, making big sums of money. Sometimes people think, oh, I want to make $1 billion, but they're not sure how to make $100,000. And so, looking at all of these different energies together, because those 5 planets that are sitting in your house of money, they are all ruled by that planet that rules your house of money. So all of that together says that things can come together. Like you may have heard someone say something over and over to you in videos and books and all of that, and now it clicks, and now you go, oh, now I get it. So this also could mean that there is money coming to you, and now you need to distribute it in a responsible way. And so not just blow it, but to find what you want to do for yourself, for emergency fund, long-term investing, or putting money towards a business. So there's something wonderful happening during these 2 weeks. That is to slow down, though, long enough to pay attention to it. Because, Sagittarius, sometimes you're kind of like a wildfire, just moving from one thing to the next. And so this is pay attention to your money because there's a great message there. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money for your business, you can make more than usual, but it's going to take some effort. And that is because the moon's making a semi-square to Saturn. So that says do the hard work, get outside your comfort zone, and then money comes. Now, this, of course, is during a time where there's vacation time, there's holidays, and so it may not feel like it's appropriate. But some of this 2-week period will be outside that window into the new year, and so look for it then. If you're going to make some sort of big push, you'll have at least a few days to do that. But it does say you have an opportunity to make more money than usual from these sources. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so this would be like a paycheck. Venus is making a semi-sextile to Saturn. So the 2 planets are together, but it's a little bit of a wimpy aspect. And so that means that maybe you could get a small bump up in your money from, like you get a tiny raise or you get some sort of cost of living increase, or maybe get a small bonus. I think that this aspect is probably not strong enough for you to make a big play at this unless your boss comes to you and gives you a hint that you should ask. And then you do want to stop and say, okay, let's sit down and talk about it, or at least let's sit down and set a date to talk about it. But overall, I do see you making a little bit more than usual from your job. Okay, Capricorn, this is your new moon, and this starts your new 12-month lunar cycle, which means that it's time for you to look at doing new things, planting seeds for the future, and planting for a harvest that's going to come, 6 months from now or more. So like looking at where you want to be 6 months from now or a year from now. And this new moon is making a square to Jupiter, which is also this brand new 0 degrees of Aries, which also says new beginning, new beginning, new beginning. Now, this is in your house of home and family, and so there can be something that is different in your attitudes about family or how the family's coming together, or maybe you have a new addition to the family, with a baby or maybe a puppy, maybe that somebody has joined the family, and so the family's expanding. So lots of new energy for you. Now, you're going to have 5 planets now in your own sign, which means that you have opportunities to be seen and a reason to be confident. Now, if you feel like you're not confident, then you have 2 choices here, because as Capricorn energy says that you get confident as you get better at things. And so look at the things that you want to be good at and work on those things. But also look at your successes from the past and pull that energy forward by remembering what you were successful at, what your achievements were. Think about those things. That's one of the strongest types of affirmations that you can make, is to say, I've done this in the past so I can do it in the future. Now, because you're doing the square to Jupiter, you could get a lot of support from family, and that is on material support, but also, people saying you can do it. This is also support from ancestors. And so lighting a candle, talking to your ancestors and saying, I'm looking for a job, or I'm looking to expand my business, or I'm looking for love, like help me with that. That is a very strong possibility. Now, where you could go overboard, again, is with family, where you're relying too much on family, or you are just being very insular and only connecting with family and not expanding outward. It's also possible that you're giving all your resources and time and energy to family and not leaving enough for yourself so that you have time and energy to plant new seeds. So that's where you could go overboard during this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, with 5 planets in Capricorn, you can definitely attract someone. But it's interesting because it's only a semi-sextile between Venus and Saturn. And so that is that the person may not exactly fit your list. There's something that's different, something that you think, I like them, but their sense of humor is a little weird, or I don't like their laugh, or there's some small thing that you need to work out and see if you can't find a way to love it, or at least like it, or that you recognize that it's such a small part, like they like to bowl and you don't bowl, but maybe they could just bowl once a month or something, if they're a bowling champion and you don't like bowling, then that's definitely bigger than this small little aspect of irritation that we're seeing. So that would not be your person. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon's making a semi-square to Saturn. So you have a lot of energy and attention on you. And so this may be an opportunity for you to work out something with your partner that maybe has been a point of contention in the past. But this does mean that some effort is needed. And that is that they may make some suggestions to you, and right now you have a lot of energy where you could make changes, but it's also a time where you want to negotiate for what it is that you want. So I see an opportunity here to strengthen the relationship if you have the time to work on it. So, but otherwise there's an awful lot of attention going towards you, and so you may not be in a place where you even have time to sit down with your partner and work things out. And so this energy will line up in an easier fashion in the future. Right now, it is more challenging. So if something comes up and it's always been a point of contention, this is a great opportunity to work it out. But if you can say, we'll talk about that at another time, and you have that opportunity, you might want to take it, because there's so much here about you planting new seeds, being confident, and going for some bigger win than, getting into an old argument with your partner. So now, when it comes to friendships, there is a connection here, and that is the Saturn's making a semi-sextile to Pluto, plus the South Node is there. And so there is an opportunity to bring someone in from your past back as a friend. And so maybe that is that you used to date and now you're just friends, or maybe there's someone from college or high school, and so you're reconnecting with this person. Now, it does say that a little effort's needed. Maybe they reach out to you, or you reach out to them on one of the social media platforms, but you don't often go on the platform, and you have to remember to see if they, emailed you back, etc. So there's some little bit of challenges, some little tiny stumbling blocks, but you could bring back a friendship that is really valuable in your life and that stays in your life going forward. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from Uranus, which is making a trine to the Venus in Capricorn, the Mercury in Capricorn, also that Saturn, which rules all of that Capricorn. So everything's coming together now to give you the opportunity you've been looking for. And that's why all of this stuff in your first house says it's time to take a chance. So that is, maybe you have all the business ready to go, but you haven't launched yet. So looking at launching. Also, maybe it is that you're just launching a particular product or maybe reaching out to collaborate with someone. Now, Mercury is going retrograde, and that means that during a launch that things can go wrong. But you can consider doing a soft launch or just, kind of roll with it, that, double check your links, make sure those work if you are launching something during the retrograde. But most of this is that there are money opportunities, but now I think, and I'm going to say finally in your life, but, this is a 2-week window where you may feel that you have the confidence and the expertise to take on something bigger. And that's why this energy is so positive for you at this time. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, I see you actually making more than usual through some extraordinary thing that happens. So that could be a one-time payment, or just, a customer just buys everything that you have, and they don't do it very often, but they just did it because maybe it's the holidays. And this is because the sun's making a sesquiquadrate to Uranus, and so that's what brings this opportunity. Or maybe you take a risk and you send a proposal to someone, even though it's the holidays, and they sign on the dotted line. Or that you find an investment that you have that is doing really well and you can take your profits. So there is some great opportunity that could come, but it's a little bit outside the norm. And so look for something that doesn't always happen as the reason that you're making more money than usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so like a paycheck, you're doing a minor aspect, and that is that the co-ruler of your house of money is making a semi-sextile to Pluto. And that semi-sextile means that even if you do get the raise, they're going to put in some little hurdles that aren't so fun. So you may want to wait until this energy lines up better. But if it's also possible, though, because you're so noticeable, that they just come to you and say, like, here's a cost of living raise, or here's a little extra bonus because prices are going up, or here's a gift card. It's going to be something minor that you get that doesn't solve the bigger problem that you're probably underpaid, and doesn't solve the problem that maybe you need to go for a different job entirely. So, but you may be making a little bit more than usual over this 2-week period. All right, Aquarius, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of intuition, psychic ability, but also it's about retreating and, looking within, working with your shadow side, or, and not so positive, going off into escapist activities. And this is making a square to Jupiter in your house of communication, and that's everything from playing video games to talking to friends, also vehicles, siblings, neighbors, etc. So third house stuff. So what can happen here is that you can make quite a breakthrough in that you realize that negative self-talk, or some of the times the language that you're using for yourself, is really holding you back. And so, and I see this quite often with people where they say, I've really been working on not saying negative things to themselves, but they are still using terminology that is putting their body into some sort of state of panic, where they say, I was devastated by this, I was exhausted by this. So to, maybe moderate that language, and then you'll have this different experience. It also can mean, because Jupiter's in the house of communications, you're receiving massive messages from the universe, that your brain is just downloading all of this information about, where you should be heading, what opportunities are coming, things about your past and the future, etc. If you're going to escape during this time, that's where you could go overboard and you could get hooked on a new video game or some sort of communication or a TV show and just binge that. And, if this is a vacation time, that might be okay, but that does mean that your brain is busy and not receiving some of the messages that you could intuitively get. So just be aware there has to be, some bandwidth for the universe. And so if it's all taken up with some sort of video game, then, it's hard to hear the universe. Now, when it comes to love, especially new love, Mercury is making a trine to Uranus. So there is an opportunity to meet someone new. Now, it's so interesting because we would look at this as 5 planets in your hidden house, but the house is hidden to you. It's not hidden to the world. So this is more likely that somebody is pursuing you, and you have to be just aware enough externally to say, oh yeah, I could go out with you. Like somebody's asking you out. And so if you don't notice, a friend might try and tell you, hey, this person keeps asking you out, you should go out with them. So, but you do have some good energy here for meeting somebody and connecting with someone who you really have a spiritual connection with, somebody who you really feel like, I don't want to say soulmates, because sometimes soulmates can be someone that your soul has been with in many lives, and that can be just as combative as fun. Like sometimes soulmates can be a very difficult relationship. So, but someone that you really feel a lot of harmony with. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the sun's making a sesquiquadrate to Uranus, which means that over the course of this 2 weeks, it's possible there's going to be one moment, one extraordinary moment where the two of you come together to support each other. And this really helps strengthen the relationship. And it's possible this is coming because you're making a lot of spiritual and internal shifts yourself. And so you might be seeing them differently. You may be accepting them in a new way. And so something is occurring, and this can help really connect the two of you together. So, but this is a rare aspect, and if you guys are both very busy, you could miss it. Sesquiquadrate is not something that is so much in your face as, pay attention to me, etc. And so if you just plant the seed and say something extraordinary could happen, there could be an opportunity where we come together in this new way, then the universe will alert you by sending you the message, and then you'll be there for it. Now, when it comes to friendships, Jupiter's making a semi-square to Uranus, and so there are some opportunities to meet someone new. It's going to take a little bit of effort. That means with all these planets in your 12th house, you don't really want to leave the house. And so this would be that you do attend the party, or you go over to your friend's house and their friends are there, or you're at some sort of party or charity event or something. And so you do have a chance to meet someone for a friendship, or reconnect with someone from the past for a friendship, but it takes a little effort to do it, and that's the reason that you may not experience this, because you were busy doing something else. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Neptune as well as the co-ruler Jupiter, and so Jupiter now in a new sign is bringing you lots of new ideas. I think you may be flooded with ideas, and so you do want to find some way to, record this so that the big ideas, the small ideas, the colors to use on your website, a bit of text for here, or how to package a product, an investment you could consider, a person you want to reach out to. Like all of these ideas could be flooding in at this time. And so you just want to get them, on paper or into your phone or into your computer so that you can access this information later. And this is also, there is a possibility of some new money source coming to you, but because the Jupiter's at 0, it's too new. So it's just like, it's out there, and someone say, this may happen. So, but because it's at 0, don't put too much stock in it yet. It needs to form. This is a seed that's still underground. We don't see the sprout yet. We don't even know what kind of plant or tree or what this is going to grow. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, it's possible that you are making more money than usual because Neptune is making a sextile to Mercury. So it is possible that something you're putting out there goes viral, and so you get more customers that way, or that you're just realizing that more money is coming in. It's just a little bump up. It's not this huge thing right now because, again, the energy's still too new. Maybe this is something where people they're placing the order, but the money's not reaching you yet. But I do see you making more money than usual from these sources. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, there's no aspect going on right now between Neptune and Jupiter. And so that energy is also just too new to really plant a seed. And so with all that stuff in the 12th house, I think that either your boss is gone or they're not seeing you or you're on vacation. So this is not the time to be asking for a raise. Now, there is some possibility that someone from your past is going to call you up and say, hey, do you want to come back and work for us? And that would be your opportunity to start negotiating for a higher salary. But you definitely want to make sure that you don't start that job until you have all those negotiations done. And that may take the entire time Mercury's retrograde to finish. That would put you around end of January. So now it is possible you would want to start sooner. And so maybe you would suggest, all right, I'll start now, but in 3 months or in 1 month, we're going to renegotiate this. So, but look for that negotiating opportunity. But in general, I think you're making about the same as usual. Okay, Pisces, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of friendships, organizations, technology, and the future. And it's making a lovely square to that Jupiter in your house of money. And so that is that the more people that you know and your connections and your tribe can bring money opportunities. And also, I really focus on the money on this channel, but it's also your self-worth, your sense of your access to stuff in general, your level of comfort. All of those things are enhanced at this time through your connections, your friends, the organization you belong to, and how comfortable you are with technology. There is an opportunity here for you to gain comfort with technology because you get a friend who they know how to build a website, or they know how to network a printer, or what this whole Zoom thing is about. So this is opportunities for you to get more comfortable in these areas, and then that leads to more money opportunities. Now, of course, because we're connecting technology and money houses, where you could go overboard is spending too much on technology, buying the latest and greatest different gadgets when maybe what you have will still work, or maybe getting refurbished instead. So it's also possible that you can go overboard in friendships and just be doing every single thing you can for other people and, really depleting your energy that way, or trying to give to every single charity out there. And so things like that can be where you go overboard. I don't know if that's going to be a bad thing. Maybe it's a good thing, but it's still overboard. So overboard technically is a bad thing. So, and this is also about the future. And so this is that, on the positive, you can make really great goals for the future, something that you see the steps, or at least the next couple of steps to get to your destination. But it also is that you are saying, I'm not going to think about the future. I'm just going to throw it, like whatever happens, happens. And that would be the going overboard. That wouldn't be so good because, when you have some sort of goal, some sort of direction, then you can see, which things fit in your life and which things don't. But if you just say, you know what, I'm just going to go wherever the wind blows, then you can end up in just a very windy area and not getting what you want. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the moon's not making an aspect with Neptune, but your house of friendships is filled. So think of it as finding new friends. And then as this energy lines up, which it will in the future, then there will be an opportunity to turn a friendship into a love relationship. But right now, focus on, dating people, meeting new people, but meet them as let's be friends. Let's see if there's that basis here. And from there, then love can grow. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, I see a lot of improvements in your relationship as Mercury is making a sextile to Neptune, and there is such a strong house of friendships. And so that is being friends with your partner, really going back to the things that you have in common, the things that you enjoy doing can really help improve the relationship. So, and this is a sextile, which means you can't ignore it and then not get that improvement, not get those blessings. But if you just put a little effort into this of doing some fun things that you both enjoy, really listening to each other, you can really strengthen the relationship at this time. And then when it comes to your area of friendships, you have 5 planets going through this house, plus there is a semi-sextile going on between Neptune and Saturn. So there is so many opportunities. Again, the semi-sextile says that you might say, I just want to hang out with my own friends at the party, but there are so many new people to meet. Or that you don't necessarily want to go to the fundraiser or the charity event because you're thinking, there's weather or, I don't know anybody there. But you have an opportunity to meet some great friends, new connections, people who could help you in the future, who you could, really feel like you're in the same tribe together. That is the energy that you're doing now. So try to make the little effort to go see the people. And I say little effort because it's a semi-sextile. It's just one little, I can't find my coat, that sort of thing. That if you get past that hurdle, you could meet someone who really becomes a great friend. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Mars, which is retrograde down in your house of home and family. And it's really interesting because it's making an exact semi-sextile to the North Node. So there is a little bit of a disconnect between what your family wants you to do and what you would like to do. And this is where you're trying to bridge those two different things. And so that is maybe you're discussing with your family the business that you're launching or where you're planning to go with your career or your attitudes about money in general. And so you're trying to get some mutual understanding here. And maybe that is just that now you want to keep a budget. And so you're explaining this to people. A semi-sextile means that when we look at the details, when we stop and say, let's just deal with the hard things right now and get those out of the way, then really things get much better. So if you don't, then there's just this nagging thing in the background that you're not supported or that you are working against the tide. So this is a time to look at what are the little obstacles that are in the way, and let's see if those can be taken care of first, then you can deal with the big obstacles. Now, I should mention also that Jupiter is now in your house of money, and it will be there for 5.5 months. No, 6 months. 6 months. Wow. So that's a lot. And so Jupiter will bring you many, many opportunities. It can make you lucky in this area. And of course, it can stimulate spending. So be aware of that part. But you have more luck when it comes to money-making opportunities. So you do want to really lean into these during this time. And that is between now and mid-May. Now, when it comes to money from your business or traditional investments, even though there's no aspect between Venus and Mars, Jupiter is in Aries, which is ruled by that Mars. So we have some connections forming. We're missing the Venus. That's the only thing. We're missing the Venus, which is, I think that you can get the orders, you find the investments and all that, but I think that the profit's just coming outside the 2-week period. So I think you're making about the same as usual, but right now it's more of a promise of money, and you might see the actual paid date, but you're just not getting paid yet. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that's like a paycheck, even though Mars is not making an aspect with Saturn, there's 5 planets in that house. So this is your opportunity to negotiate for a higher salary or to look for a higher position or to look for a different position entirely. It's possible that maybe you are leaving a job and getting severance and getting a new job before that severance is used up so that you have that big lump sum of money. So this can bring you more hours, a stronger position within the company, more people to support you of getting a raise so that your boss is, he's going to bat for you or she is going to bat for you. And so there's so many opportunities here. And if you find door after door closed where you are, it's just a sign that you are supposed to move on and start looking for something else, because there are going to be many, many opportunities around you at this time. So this is where we see some of your strongest energy. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and stay tuned because LaRue wants to say hi.